उमज्ञातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादे पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So today we are doing the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the three modes of material nature. So should we do a quick recap of the acronyms for all the 13 chapters? So chapter 1, what is the acronym? Doubt. Chapter 2, Gita. Chapter 3, tree. Chapter 4, years. Chapter 5, step. Chapter 6, easy. Chapter 7, head. Chapter 8, dead. Chapter 9, king. Chapter 10, sea. Sea, na? Chapter 11, Rupa. Chapter 12, God. And chapter 13, wise. Good. Good. So today we are beginning chapter 14. The three modes of material nature. So this chapter has the acronym for chapter 14 is trap, because the three modes of material nature, sattva, rajo and tamo, traps us in this world. So the acronym is trap. So this particular chapter has 27 verses in total, and it's divided into 4 sections. So the first section is the first 9 verses, which is an introduction to the 3 modes, sattva, raja, tama. So we'll find in Bhagavad Gita, you'll find that there are certain concepts that keep repeating regularly. The 3 modes doesn't come, but certain concepts that Krishna keeps repeating. So why are concepts repeated? Because when there is some repetition, the first reason for a repetition is a reminder. As conditioned souls, we keep tending to forget things. So when we are reminded, when something is repeated regularly, it's a reminder for all of us. Srila Prabhupada, therefore, Prabhupada, he didn't speak great concepts about Srimati Radharani and all the intricate things. Prabhupada, thoda volume kam karna. So Prabhupada would keep repeating certain concepts again and again, because it acts as a healthy reminder for all of us. So we need repetition, because repetition it acts as a reminder for us. The second need for repetition is explanation. So when something is repeated, it can be repeated in different ways. Like all of us, when we may hear a particular class from a same speaker, but the next time the speaker speaks that same class, there'll be certain another style of explaining it, right? So repetition is also for better explanation, better understanding. And the third reason is emphasis. The point that certain things are being repeated again and again is to make us drive home the point that this point is something that is very important for us to understand. Just like you have the shloka, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Namaiva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatir Anyata. So when it's repeated again and again, it's for emphasis. And most importantly, the need for repetition is so that we can relish the message again and again. Right? Just like mango season, na? Every year mango season comes, you have it because you want to relish it again and again. So if you read, we will come to the 18th chapter of Gita. As the 18th chapter is ending, Sanjay is explaining his own realization after hearing Gita. So Sanjay tells Dhritarashtra, I just want to keep hearing this message again and again. So when something is very important and when you want to relish something, you keep repeating it. So you'll find certain concepts that was there in the 13th chapter. It also starts with the 14th chapter. So the first verse of this chapter begins with Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Parambuya Pravakshyami Jnanam Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam Yagyatva Munayo Sarve Param Siddhim Itogata. So Lord Krishna is saying, again I shall declare unto you the supreme wisdom. My dear Arjuna, again I am repeating this wisdom again to you because this is the best of knowledge, and by knowing this wisdom, especially what Lord Krishna is going to speak in this chapter, Lord Krishna says, Param Siddhim Itogataha. Great sages have attained perfection by understanding this kind of knowledge. So in spiritual understanding, you also need to know, we definitely have to get out of this material world, but in order to get out of the material world, you also have to know how the material world functions, how the world is functioning, what is binding us. When we understand that, we can actually come out. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, I am repeating this message again to you because this is something that is very important. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, in the 13th chapter, we saw Lord Krishna explaining Kshetra, Kshetragya, field, knower of the field, and ultimately the object of knowledge. And in the 13th chapter, Lord Krishna listed out 20 qualities of knowledge, 20 items of knowledge. You remember this? Amanitvam, Adambitvam. Lord Krishna listed many things. The most important, Lord Krishna said, was approaching a spiritual master. When we approach a spiritual master, in the association of a spiritual master, we will understand how precarious our situation is and how we can actually get out of this material world. We will understand what is the cause of bondage and what causes liberation. Now in this chapter, in the previous chapter, chapter 13, Lord Krishna touched how it is very important, the purpose of life. If you'll remember the last chapter, Srila Prabhupada mentioned it also in the purport. The purpose of life is to find liberation, to get out of this material world. Now in this particular chapter, Lord Krishna explains how the three modes, Sattva, Raja, Tamo, goodness, passion, ignorance, keeps us bound in this world. And anyone who understands this chapter well, he will definitely attain perfection. Text 2. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmyam agata sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyatayanti cha. Idam jnanam upashritya. Lord Krishna is saying, if someone becomes fixed in this knowledge, what will happen? Such a person will attain the nature like Krishna. He will attain a godly quality. He will attain liberation. And such a person who has attained this stage, he will never be bewildered either at the time of creation or at the time of dissolution. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains here that when one understands such kind of transcendental knowledge, then such a person is transferred back to the spiritual world. And once you reach the spiritual world where there is unlimited variety, unlimited spiritual form, where one can actually experience Krishna, then such a person doesn't have to come to this material world. And this material world is a place where there is creation and destruction. So that means Lord Krishna is telling here, before beginning this chapter, before explaining the three modes, Lord Krishna is telling us the benefit of understanding this chapter. If we understand this chapter very, very well, then we attain the nature of the Supreme Lord, we attain a spiritual form, and then we are not bewildered by any situation in the material world. Whether it is good, bad, creation, destruction, we are not at all bewildered. So Lord Krishna begins with this introduction, with this setting of the mood. Lord Krishna begins his knowledge that he wants to give here. Text 3, which is a very important verse in this chapter. Mama yonir mahat brahma tasmin garbham dadamyaham sambhava sarva bhutana tato bhavati bharata. So Lord Krishna is saying here, Mama yonir mahat brahma. Mahat brahma. You remember the previous chapter we were discussing about Kshetra, field. So when we were discussing about field, what is this field made of, the material world? Anyone remembers? What is the material field, Kshetra, made of? Lord Krishna explained in one of the verses. The body, yeah, but what is a body and what is this? What is a body made of? Okay. Exactly. So total 24 elements. You remember the 24 elements? What are the 24 elements? Anyone remembers any of it? Yeah. So one is the five Pancha Mahabhut. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. That is 5. What about the others? Then we have 10 senses. 5 Karmendriya, 5 Jnanendriya. Right? It makes it 15. Then you have the 5 sense forms. Sense, touch, Rupa, like that. It makes it 20. Then you have the mind, right? It makes it 21. And then you have something called Mahat Tattva, unmanifested form. And then intelligence, ego, like this, it makes it 24 elements. So here Lord Krishna is saying here, the total material substance, all these 24 elements, either is called Mahat Tattva, yeah, it is called Mahat Brahma. This is the material elements. But Lord Krishna is saying here, this material elements, who impregnates it? Krishna. Mama yonir mahat brahma tasmid garbham dadamyaham. Just like, mother is there, but the father impregnates the mother. And then creation starts. Similarly, Garbha, this material world is called Garbha, but Krishna is the one who is the father. So Prabhupada explains here, so Krishna impregnates the living entities into the material nature and then activities start. There is a lot of activity. So Prabhupada gives an example. Sometimes we may find scorpions that come out of a rice bag. And someone may say that rice has given birth to scorpions. But actually it's not the case. The scorpion mother has laid the eggs there, which we may not have seen. And we think that the rice bag has given birth to scorpions. But it's actually the mother scorpion was given birth to the baby scorpions. So similarly, people may think that Prakriti is giving birth, nature is doing. But nature is actually carrying out its activity because of Krishna. So Krishna is the seed-giving father. So therefore, then the next verse Lord Krishna says, Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradapita. So Lord Krishna is saying here, Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya. Ultimately, all living entities arise from nature. But who is the seed-giving father? Aham bija pradapita. So Prakriti is always called mother. Mother nature, mother earth. So if there is a mother, there has to be a father. And that father is actually Krishna. Even though we may not see Krishna, but Krishna is the seed-giving father. So Prabhupada has written a book called Life Comes From Life. We will never see in this world that life comes from matter. Have we ever seen anywhere? Scientists may say life has come from matter, but have we seen anything life coming from matter? Not possible. Life has to come from life. So similarly, if there is activity, the Atma is there. The presence of the Atma shows that there is presence of Paramatma also. Without Krishna being there cannot be any activity. We see in this material world, everything is going on perfectly. The sun rises, the sun sets, the seasons come and go. So there is activity, there is perfection. That means there is a spirit. Just like in our body now, as soon as the Atma leaves the body, is there activity in the body? No, there cannot be any growth in the body. There cannot be any maintenance in the body. It's only destruction. It's only dwindling. So similarly, this material nature can be considered to be a body, the universal form. But if Krishna is not there in this universal form, can the universal form maintain itself? It cannot, it's not possible at all. So that means it is understood that Krishna is the Father. Krishna is that spirit, that super soul that is actually making the entire universe actually work. Text 5. Sattvam rajas tama iti guna prakriti sambhava nibatnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. So Lord Krishna says, this material nature is made of three modes. So whenever we refer to Prakriti, so Lord Krishna is saying, Sattvam Rajas Tama iti Guna Prakriti Sambhava. So whenever we say Prakriti, so first principle Lord Krishna is explaining, Prakriti cannot create on its own. For Prakriti to create, there has to be a Purusha. Just like a female cannot give birth to a child without a male. So similarly, Prakriti, who is female, cannot give birth to living entities without Purusha. And Krishna is that Purusha. The next chapter we will go to Purushottam Yoga. So we will see the yoga of the Supreme Person. So this is the first principle. So now what is Prakriti made of? So here Lord Krishna is saying here, Guna Prakriti Sambhava. So Lord Krishna is saying here, this Prakriti is made of three modes. Dhanyavad. So the Prakriti is made of three modes of nature. So we are all, our true identity is we are all Atma. We are all spirit soul in the spiritual world. But because we wanted to, we didn't want to be a servant of God. We wanted to be independent of God. Therefore we come to this material world. So as soon as we come to the material world, the soul gets a covering which is called false ego, ahankar. So the creation starts with ahankar. False ego means you forget. Like Maya, Prabhupada explains, Maya has two coverings, the two Shaktis of Maya. One is called Avranatmika and the other is called Sampratatmika. It means Maya first covers our intelligence, covers our knowledge that we are Atma, and then we fall into illusion. We start identifying ourselves with this body. So the first covering of the soul is false ego. And then we get a lot of subtle and gross bodies. So now our subtle and gross bodies is basically a combination of three modes. Just like now we have colors. If you go to a paint shop, he will show you a whole sheet, like thousands of colors. You choose one color. You know how he makes that color? It's not that he has all the color with him. What he has with him is white color. As soon as you choose one color, he has one machine. He'll put that box, that white color paint box, and he'll put that color. There are only three things there: yellow, blue, red. They mix in three fashions and they produce thousands of colors. Understood? That's how it is. I still remember when we went to choose the color for this Arangaza, this is what he did. But he chose that color and the machine exactly calculates. So for every color there's a percentage of red, percentage of yellow, percentage of blue. So similarly, there are 84 lakh species of life, but ultimately this all is a combination of permutation and combination of three modes: sattva, raja, tama. That's all. So based on the three modes, we get different kinds of bodies. So, Madhji, are you comfortable? Yeah, you can get one chair here. So guna refers to modes, and guna also refers to rope. Again, so we have three modes, which is sattva, raja, tama. Guna in Sanskrit is also a rope. So these three modes make us act in different ways, but the three modes are also binding factors for all of us. They bind all of us. That's what is keeping us conditioned in this material world. So now Lord Krishna, from text 6 onwards, he is explaining in summary what these three modes are. What these three modes are, what are the qualities, how will we understand which mode we are in, and what mode we should aspire to achieve. Text 6. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena chanaga. Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, Chanaga, O Arjuna, O sinless one, Sattvagun, what are the qualities of Sattvagun? Nirmalatvat. Sattvagun is the purest of all modes. Rajagun, Tamagun, Sattvagun. Sattvagun is the most pure. Sattvagun is prakashakam. It is illuminating. Anyone who is in Sattvagun, there is a lot of illumination, there is a lot of knowledge. Anamayam. Anamayam means anyone who is in goodness, there is very less sinful activity. The sinful life is very less. And jnana sangena chanaga. And such a person experiences a sense of happiness and a sense of knowledge. So these are qualities of Sattvagun. Knowledge, free from sinful life, happy. So basically such a person in Sattvagun is happy, knowledgeable. But the problem is, here it says, Jnana sangena chanaga, badnati, sukha sangena badnati, jnana sangena chanaga. Badnati means what? You are bound, you are conditioned. Of the three modes, sattva, raja, tamo, sattvagun goodness is best, but goodness is also binding. Why? Because goodness basically means someone who is very pure, someone who has a very pious life. You know, in Krishna consciousness, when we go to preach now, people who are very, very pious, it is sometimes difficult for them to convert to Krishna consciousness. Because they are so happy, they are so much in their comfort zone, they don't want to surrender to Krishna. This is also a problem. Srila Prabhupada, where he started ISKCON, he went to America, and among whom, they were not like pious people, hippie guys who did all wrong things Prabhupada started. Before going there, Prabhupada tried 40 years in India, preaching to pious people. Prabhupada understood, very difficult to change, because there is a certain conditioning. And what is the conditioning? They are too satisfied for Krishna consciousness. They are too satisfied. They don't want to come out, only they feel life is the best. So goodness is also binding. Like we give this example, the three modes is like three kinds of chains. The mode of ignorance is like a copper chain. The mode of passion is like a silver chain. The mode of goodness is like a golden chain, right? But even though it is a golden chain, it is a chain. It is binding. It will keep us in this material world. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. So Prabhupada explains basically, one in the mode of goodness is happy, one is in the mode of passion is very active, and one in the mode of ignorance is helpless and depressed. So these are psychological conditions also. So Prabhupada explains here, Sattva Guna, typical example is a Brahmana. Right? One who is very pious, one who is very peaceful, one who is happy, the amount of sin is very less, things like that. But Prabhupada mentions here that even in this Sattva Guna, there is a sense of attachment to it, because one is attached to the mode of goodness and such a person doesn't want to go out. So typical example of people in the mode of goodness are Brahmanas, or it could be people who are scientists, philosophers. They are very proud of their knowledge, they are very proud of their position, therefore they don't want to experience the spiritual world. They are quite comfortable in what their life is. This is what the mode of goodness is. But definitely among all the three modes, goodness is something that we should try to aspire for. Rajoguna, next shloka Lord Krishna explains, text 7. Rajo ragatmakam viddhi Trishna sanga samudbhavam Tan nibadnati kaunteya Karma sangena dehinam. So mode of passion is born from Rajo ragatmakam viddhi Trishna sangena samudbhavam. Ragatmakam matlab born of desire and lust. So in the mode of goodness, desires are very less. Person is more satisfied. But in the mode of passion, unlimited desires, unlimited longings, which is continuously burning in one's heart. And because such a person has unlimited desires and unlimited longing, what he does? Karma sangena dehina. He keeps working very, very hard. Because the more desires you have, the more you have to work to fulfill. So Rajoguna is symbolized by unlimited desires, illicit life. Such a person breaks all regulative principles and is very active in the wrong way, not active in Krishna consciousness. The first goodness is too satisfied for bhakti. The one who's in the mode of passion is too busy for bhakti. You won't ask such a person come to Krishna consciousness, they have no time because they have big ambitions, big plans. They want to make it really big in this world. And you can see in this picture, typical example of the mode of passion. They really love money and enjoyment. So Prabhupada explains here in the purport, the mode of passion is mainly characterized by lust, attraction between man and women. And Prabhupada explains here also in many other places, 99% of people, probably 99.99% of people in this world are all in the mode of passion. Passion is what is driving the entire society. The billboards, the movies, anything, what is driving it is passion. And in the mode of passion, such a person wants more and more enjoyment, more and more happiness. And because he wants more and more sense gratification, his network of illusion keeps increasing more and more. Right? You get married and then you have a society, you have a family, you join so many clubs, you want to maintain your status quo. And this way person remains very, very busy. He has no time for spiritual life. It doesn't even occur to him that he has to take the spiritual life. He's completely engrossed in his own plans. So Prabhupada explains here, the modern civilization is more or less in the mode of passion. So Prabhupada explains, previously, in previous yugas, or even say 200, 300, 400 years ago, the standard of civilization was based on mode of goodness. How will you judge whether someone is good, successful? Whether he's in the mode of goodness. But now, the standard of civilization is mode of passion. Right? And Prabhupada is explaining here, if people in the mode of goodness don't get liberation, we saw in the previous verse, even people in the mode of goodness, they are also bound. So if people in the mode of goodness are bound, what to speak of liberation for mode of passion? They are like 100% caught in this network. This is the mode of passion, Rajoguna. Tamoguna, text 8. Tamastva ajnana jam viddhi mohanam sarva dehinam pramada alasya nidrabis tad nibadnati bharata. So one thing you will find in all the places, whether it is verse number 6, 7, 8, speaking about goodness, passion, ignorance, you will find in all the places nibadnanti. All three of them are bound. All three of them are bound in different ways. So people in tamoguna, tamastva ajnana jam viddhi. So if Rajoguna is born out of desires, longing, lust, Tamoguna is born out of ignorance, ajnana. And because someone is in Tamoguna, Such a person is completely bewildered. Mohanam sarva dehina. Most people are bewildered like this. And result of tamoguna is madness, pramad, indolence, sleep. Indolence basically means one who's into intoxication and all this, and sleep. Laziness, sleep, madness. And such a person is too inert, too dull to be Krishna conscious. Completely dull. So the mode of goodness is characterized by satisfaction, a sense of happiness. The mode of passion is characterized by too much activity. And the mode of ignorance is characterized by helplessness, depression, hopelessness, like that. So Prabhupada explains in the purport, ignorance is just the opposite of goodness. In goodness there is enlightenment. In ignorance there is no enlightenment at all. It's all ignorance. And in the spell of ignorance, one doesn't understand, one cannot see things for what they are. Just like an animal, na? You may find animals in a slaughterhouse, they are in a line, one after another they are going to be slaughtered. But the animals are in the mode of ignorance. They are seeing someone getting slaughtered in front, but it doesn't occur to them to run away. They are still eating that grass because they don't have the brains to think. So in this material world, just like passion is very, very prominent, ignorance is also very, very prominent. People are seeing the reality, still not seeing. We have been discussing about this Ahmedabad plane crash every now and then. So this Ahmedabad plane crash, everyone is seeing it, but people are trying to find out what is that called? Black box. What is the message? Now they're saying the black box only is gone. Black box that never goes, that only is gone. So people are trying to decode all this, what has gone wrong, but they are not, it's not occurring to them that, Papa, this is a wake-up call for you and me. Right? We were just coming from our Sharam ferry. One ferry sank yesterday. It is lying there. Probably water came inside. So whether it is flight, ferry, train, there's no guarantee for anything in this world. So people are seeing it, still they are not able to realize. So Prabhupada says here, for example, everyone can see that grandfather has died, so many people are dead, but it's not occurring to them that something like this can happen to us also. It's important to take up to spiritual life. They don't understand. And people in the mode of ignorance, they sleep more than 6 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, like that, and into intoxication, depression, like that. So this is how Lord Krishna starts to summarize the three modes. He starts to begin an introduction. So what he starts here continues in the next two chapters actually. The three modes Lord Krishna explains in chapter 14 also. He touches little in chapter 16 also, 17 also. You will find these things coming again and again. So typically you have the example of the three modes, Sattva, Raja, Tamo, is the three brothers. Ravan, Kumbhakarna, Vibhishan. So Ravan was typical example of Rajogun, not Tamogun, Rajogun. Rajogun means, what is Rajogun? What is the symptom of Rajogun? Desire, lust, hankering. This was Ravan, very ambitious guy. He wanted golden Lanka, he wanted the best of things, right? That Pushpak Viman, when he saw, he just robbed it from Kuwait. Any beautiful girl he would just pick up. Never satisfied, always wanting more and more. Kumbhakarna, younger brother, was the example of Tamogun, ignorance. He loved sleep, right? And Vibhishan is example of Sattva Gun also, and beyond Sattva is example of pure Sattva. We will be discussing that. Shuddha Sattva. So there is Tamogun, Rajogun, Sattva Gun, and beyond Sattva Gun is Shuddha Sattva, yeah, Vishuddha Sattva, yeah, Vasudeva Sattva. That means transcendental to the three modes. Lord Krishna will come to that a little later, right? So these are the three brothers in the three modes. So ultimately, what Lord Krishna builds up in this chapter is, we have to slowly rise from Tamogun, Rajogun to Sattvagun, and we have to use Sattvagun as a launching pad to go to the spiritual world, right? Just like, coming back to that flight example, right? You have a runway. What is a runway for? Runway is only for you to gather your momentum and go up. Okay? The purpose of the runway is not that the flight keeps running from here and there. That's not the purpose of the runway. You just use the runway and push off. So Sattva Gun is like the runway. It's like the runway. So we come to Sattva Gun not to stay in Sattva Gun. You use the Sattva Gun to take off and go to the spiritual world, right? But to take off, you have to come to Sattvagun. You see, when we come to Krishna consciousness, like Srila Prabhupada, he preached to these American boys and girls, none of them were in Sattvagun. They were all into Tamagun, Rajagun, into intoxication, enjoyment. But when they came in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada encouraged them to come to Sattvagun. So someone may come to Bhakti being in Rajagun, Tamagun, but you cannot continue Bhakti being in Rajagun, Tamagun. To continue Bhakti, you have to come to Sattvagun. Because Bhakti means, to continue Bhakti means, it's the platform of goodness. To maintain something, you have to come to Sattvagun. So that's how Lord Krishna builds this chapter. So this was the first section, verse number 1 to 9, where Lord Krishna gives an introduction to the three modes. Now 10 to 13, the next set of 4 verses, speaks about the competition that is continuously happening between the three modes. Race for prominence. So no one can say that, first of all, no one can say that I am 100% Sattvagun, 100% Tamogun. Not possible. It's all a mixture of all the three. But even in that, in every moment there is a fight. At some time you will find Sattvagun coming up, the next moment Tamogun will come up. So there's a continuous fight. The three gunas are also very, very dynamic in our hearts. So this is the next section, 10 to 13, the race for prominence. Text 10. Rajas tamas chadibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata rajas sattvam tamaschaiva tamas sattvam rajastata. So Lord Krishna is saying, sometimes mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating passion, ignorance. Sometimes passion defeats goodness, ignorance. Sometimes ignorance defeats goodness, passion. Have you experienced this? We have experienced this, no? We continuously keep experiencing this. Sometimes this is like very strong. Probably we may not able to realize it and make it vocal that this is what is happening, but actually this is what is happening to all of us. So Lord Krishna is saying, in this way there is always a competition for supremacy. And what is happening to us? We are like being tortured helplessly. These three modes are functioning and we are being messed completely in our life. So Prabhupada explains in this purport that this competition is always going on. Therefore, this is a very important sentence. Therefore, one who is actually intent on advancing in Krishna consciousness has to transcend the three modes. So these three modes will keep us completely bound, it will keep us completely helpless. So if we want to get out of these three modes, we have to transcend these three modes. So therefore, it's very important that we practice more and more the mode of goodness, and from the platform of the mode of goodness, we actually go to the Vasudev state. That's what Prabhupada explains here. Right? From the mode of goodness, you take off and go higher. That's when we will actually get liberated from these three modes. Now Lord Krishna, in text 11, he says, Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivriddham sattvam iti uta. So, how can one experience? Lord Krishna explained the symptoms of the three modes. Now he is saying here, how can one experience which mode one is in? So the mode of goodness is experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated with knowledge. So our eyes, ears, right, speaking, the mouth, all these gates are illuminated with knowledge. So Prabhupada explains here, that means we see things in the right position, we hear things in the right position. There is cleansing inside and outside. All the organs are perfectly in order. So this is the mode of goodness. In a very balanced way, everything is used. Lord Krishna defines the experience of the mode of passion. Text 12. Lobha pravritir arambha karmanam ashamaspraha rajasi etani jayante vivriddhe bharatashrabha. So when there is increase in the mode of passion, what are the symptoms? The symptoms of attachment, great activity, overworking, intense endeavor, uncontrollable desire, hankering develop. This is the mode of passion, right? Heart is always agitated. Someone is working very hard. This is called Ugra Karma. So Prabhupada explains here, one works very hard. You can live in a small house, you want to have a very palatial house, keep working hard. So Prabhupada explains here, the mode of passion, such a person is never satisfied. Right? He wants to have it more and more in the process. There is no end to his hard work. It keeps going on and more. So basically, desire, greed, excessive action, and excessive attachment are the symptoms of mode of passion. So probably this is like a homework for all of us also to find out, what mode we are in and what we have to actually work on to go higher. Text 13. Aprakasho pravritischa pramado moha eva cha tamasi etani jayante vivriddhe kurunandana. So when ignorance increases, then there is darkness, aprakasha. Darkness matlab hopelessness. Then there is inertia. What does inertia mean? You don't want to do anything. You just don't want to do anything. Madness, illusion. This is the mode of ignorance. So basically madness, laziness, darkness, hopelessness. This is the mode of ignorance. So in the mode of passion, someone is very, very ambitious but in the wrong direction materially. In the mode of ignorance, he doesn't have material ambition also, spiritual ambition also. Nothing is there for him. He is like completely zero. He sees zero in both ways. That is the mode of ignorance. So as we discussed in the beginning, we may find Lord Krishna is repeating things again. He already spoke this, he is repeating it. But we discussed in the beginning, repetition is for us to understand these things in a better way and for us to deeply contemplate on all of this. So Lord Krishna is saying here now, so this was the second section, 10 to 13, the race for prominence. Now the third section is A of the trap, which is actions and results. So what is the destination? What is the result of someone in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance? So these are set of 4-5 verses, 14 till 18. Yada satve pravridetu pralayam yati dehabrit tadottama vidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. So now Lord Krishna is saying, when one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains higher planets of the great sages. So if you live a life of full sattva and then you die in sattva guna, then you attain higher planets, either Brahmalok, Janalok, where all pure sattva guna living entities stay. So you enter into such a life, saintly kind of life. Text 15, Lord Krishna says, Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tata pralinastasmai tamas muda yonishu jayate. So when one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth. So when someone dies in the mode of goodness, he takes birth where people have mode of goodness prominently. When someone dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among people who are very, very hardworking. Most probably, he will take birth as a human being. And that too, Prabhupada says, this is also no guarantee. If you are like pure Raja, 100% Raja, then you may get a human birth. But if there is a mixture of Tamo, then you may actually go down. There is no guarantee that you will also get a human birth. But then Lord Krishna is saying here, but anyone is in the mode of ignorance, he definitely goes down to the animal species. That's how it is defined. So if you are in Sattva Guna, you go higher. You can see that staircase going higher. In Rajaguna, probably you will come back to the earthly realm. In Tamoguna, you will go back to the lower species or the lower planets. That's what it is. So Prabhupada is saying here, therefore, one has to take association of devotees very seriously and then thus aim to actually go back to the spiritual world. Otherwise, there is no guarantee even we will get a human form of life. We may actually go to the lower species. Text 16. Karmana sukritasyahu Satvikam nirmalam phalam Rajasastu phalam dukkham Ajnanam tamasa phalam. So Lord Krishna is saying the result of pious activity is pure, and someone is in someone who's in the mode of goodness, basically he does pious activity and his result is also pure and pious. Someone who is in the mode of passion, the result he gets is misery. And someone is in the mode of ignorance, the result, the action he performs is foolishness, and the result also leads to foolishness or more illusion. So Prabhupada explains here, the result of pious activities is pure. So therefore you do good punya, you may get a good birth. But someone who is in the mode of passion especially, such a person is working very, very hard in this life. So there's a lot of misery. To work hard, there's a lot of misery, there's a lot of stress that you have to take. And then after getting it also, you are still more in misery. So the mode of passion is characterized by a lot of misery. In the process, after the process, there is continuous misery. And those in the mode of ignorance are basically anyway foolish, they have no aim in life. So Prabhupada explains here in the purport, just like someone who slaughters animals, and just for your tongue you slaughter an animal, because someone is ignorant of the law. So Prabhupada gives an example, just like you have the state law, if you kill a human being you are punished. But we don't know that there is a law of God also, right? As soon as you kill an animal, there is a punishment for it. So Prabhupada says, forget anything. For the Supreme Lord, everyone is children. So Prabhupada is saying, the Lord will not even tolerate an ant being killed. And we have, ant is like very far away, probably we don't know how many mosquitoes and how many things we do, right? So Prabhupada is saying, there is a price for everything. So the law of karma, we may forget it, but it definitely comes back to us. So therefore, as human beings, it's very important that we understand the laws of nature. We have to understand. Only when we understand it, we can actually follow it. If we remain in ignorance, we are going to be punished royally. And Prabhupada explains of all kind of animal killing, the killing of cows is the worst. For such a person, he'll have to suffer unlimitedly. And Prabhupada explains here, for Lord Krishna, two personalities are very, very important. Prabhupada quotes this verse, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanadaya Cha Jagadadhaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namah. For Lord Krishna, two personalities are very important, Brahmanas and cows. So Brahmanas represent spiritual advancement and cows represent milk or the ingredient needed for spiritual advancement. So Prabhupada is explaining here, in modern civilization, they don't value Brahmanas also, they don't value cows also. So it's a degraded civilization, as good as an animal civilization. And such a person will degrade, the whole society will degrade further and further. So Prabhupada says, therefore, the only process that can save this world from this dangerous age is the process of Krishna consciousness. The path of bhakti that Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas have given us is not only going to help us, this is the only thing that is going to save the world from going into hell. And Prabhupada says here, even if not the whole population, even if a certain percentage of population take to Krishna conscious seriously, the benefit will come to the entire society. The entire society will get its own benefit. So this Krishna conscious movement is just not about we going to the spiritual world. That's one part of the equation. But the whole idea is we are trying to create a society where everyone is perfect, everyone is ideal, everyone is abiding by the laws of God. So we have constitution and everyone is expected to live according to the constitution, to follow the constitution. Similarly, there are laws of God. Bhagavad Gita is the law of God. You may say, I don't care for that law, but the law will act. You break the law, you may say, I don't care, I may do any criminal activity, But then there are CCTV cameras everywhere. There are police, you will get your punishment. So similarly, we may say, I don't care for the law of God, but the law of God will act. It will act. So therefore, this book Bhagavad Gita is making us aware of these laws. If we live by the laws, we will remain happy. Otherwise, we are going to be punished by nature. Text 17. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha pramada mohatamaso bhavato jnanam evacha. So Lord Krishna is like repeating few concepts again. From the mode of goodness, knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. From the mode of ignorance, foolishness, madness, illusion develops. Okay? Text 18. Urdhvam gacchanti sattvasta madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganya guna vrittista adho gacchanti tamasa. So Lord Krishna concludes this section. Those who are in the mode of goodness gradually go upwards. Urdhvam gacchanti sattvasta. If you are situated in sattvagun, you gradually go higher. Higher in this life, higher in your consciousness, higher in happiness, higher in the planets also. Madhye tishtanti rajasa. If you are situated in the mode of passion, probably you will come back to earth. And you are situated in the mode of ignorance, you will go down in the hellish planets or in the lower species. This is what Prabhupada explains here. Okay? Prabhupada time and again in the purport stresses the importance of Krishna consciousness. How Krishna consciousness is the only way where we can be saved from the lower species and we can go back to the spiritual world. So this was the third section where Lord Krishna speaks about actions, how someone in the three modes acts, and what are the results and what are the destinations such a person gets. Now the last section, the conclusive section, is very important. Lord Krishna speaks about how one can live a pure life beyond even Sattvagun, how one can take up to the path of Krishna consciousness. So this section 19 and ending with this conclusive verses are very important, which will actually inspire us and tell us very clearly what is the plan for all of us. If we want to go to the spiritual world, what is the path that we have to take? Text 19. Nanyam gunebhya kartaram yada drishthanupashyati gunebhyascha param veti madbhavam sodigacchati. So Lord Krishna says, when one properly sees, that means when one is situated in proper knowledge, such a person understands that actually it is the three modes making me work. I am helplessly being pushed by the three modes. And as soon as one understands this, one becomes humble, surrenders to Krishna, and such a person attains the spiritual world or attains the spiritual nature. So, before we become Krishna conscious, it's important that we become conscious. We understand what mode is actually affecting us and how we can actually come out of this. So, Prabhupada explains in the purport, the real spiritual master is Krishna, and Krishna is instructing knowledge to Arjuna. Similarly, if we learn from those who are devotees of Krishna, we can understand how the three modes are actually controlling us, and then we can actually get out. Otherwise, we will be completely misdirected by this world and will be continuously in the grips of the three modes, will be helpless and will be born again and again. So Prabhupada in this purport explains how it's very important, just like Arjuna is taking shelter of Krishna, how it is very important for us to take shelter of a spiritual master, one who is a representative of Krishna, so that we can actually get out of the material world. Text 20. Gunan etan atityatrin dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityo jara dukkher vimukto mritam ashnute. So Lord Krishna is saying here, Gunan etan atityatrin. So when a living entity is able to transcend the three modes, then what happens? Janma Mrityu Jara Dukkher Vimukto. When you transcend the three modes, you become freed from birth, disease, old age, misery. And Amritam Ashnute, one can experience nectar. So Lord Krishna is not speaking about coming to Sattva-gun. Definitely we have to come to Sattva-gun. But Sattva-gun also we saw Nibatnati, it is binding. So if we want to become free from all this, then we have to transcend the three modes. And what is the transcending three modes means? Transcending three modes means taking up to the process of Krishna consciousness, taking up to the process of bhakti, which Lord Krishna will summarize towards the end of this chapter. Right? So Prabhupada mentions here in the purport that if you want to experience Vimukto Amritam Ashnute, we want to experience liberation and nectar bliss, we have to take up to devotional service. Lord Krishna in the 7th chapter, he says, Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mamevaya Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantiti. Lord Krishna says, Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. This Prakriti is made of three modes, Gunamayi. And Lord Krishna is saying, overcoming these three modes, overcoming Prakriti is very, very difficult. But if we surrender to Krishna, then we are free from the three modes, we are free from birth, old age, disease and death. Now, Arjuna is asking a question. What is Arjuna's question? Text 21. Arjuna Uvacha Kerlinge Strin Gunanetan Atito Bhavati Prabho Kim Acharah Katham Chaitams Tringunan Ativartate. So Arjuna is basically asking three questions. My dear Lord, what are the symptoms of one who is transcendental to the three modes? Now Lord Krishna has summarized that of all the three modes, Sattva is the best, but still one should try to transcend Sattva. So now Arjuna is asking three questions. First, what are the symptoms of one who is beyond the three modes, one who is transcendental? Second, what is his behavior? And third, how does one transcend also? Symptoms, behavior is there, but you tell me the process to overcome the three modes. So these are three questions that Arjuna is asking, which are very important for all of us. If you want to get out of the material world, you have to get out of the three modes. What is the process? What are the symptoms of such a person? And what is his behavior? Text 20 to 25. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prakasham cha pravritim cha Moham eva cha Pandava Na dveshti sampravrittani Na nivrittani kankshati Udasina vadasino Guner na vichalyate Puna vartanta iti evam Yovatishtati ningate Samaduka sukha swasta Samalostasma kanchana Tulya priya priyodhiras Tulya nindatma samstuti Manapamana yastulyos Tulya mitrari pakshayo Sarvaramba parityagi Gunatita sa uchyate. The word Gunatita means one who is beyond the three modes. Gunatita sa uchyate. So Lord Arjuna's question was, what are the symptoms and behavior of one who is above the three modes? So this is what these two questions Lord Krishna is answering here. And the third question Lord Krishna will answer in the next few verses. So Lord Krishna is saying here, O son of Pandu, O my dear Arjuna, one who does not hate illumination, attachment, delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear. So basically in this material world, what comes in our life, the situation that comes in our life is not under our control. What is going to come? So being in this material world, we have to face ups and downs, we have to face good and bad. It's not that you have to face all good. But a devotee means he is neither attached to something, neither is averse to anything. Whatever comes in his life is ready to take it up in the right spirits and is very, very equipoised. So these are certain things that we saw probably in the 13th chapter also, where Lord Krishna explained symptoms of knowledge. The same things keep repeating. Even in the 12th chapter, if you all remember the 12th chapter, the ending 8 verses, Lord Krishna spoke about Bhaktastakam, glories of a devotee. Which devotee is dear to me? The same set of things that keep coming again and again in the Gita to tell us that this is what we should be aiming for. One who is neither attached nor hateful of anything. One who is unwavering and undisturbed through all the reactions of material qualities. So being in this world, even though we may want to transcend it, but as long as this body is there, this fight between Sattva, Rajo, Tamo will go on. You will not be able to stop it completely. So what we have to do? We have to be undisturbed. From whatever comes, be a little undisturbed. Remain neutral, transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active. So certain things are beyond your control. So when we understand that we are not able to control something, we have to become humble and understand that these are beyond us. Right? And then Lord Krishna is saying such a person regards happiness, distress equally. He regards a stone and gold equally. When Tukaram Maharaj, I was just reading the pastimes of Tukaram Maharaj, when he was in Dehu, Tukaram Maharaj became so famous, especially he put all his abhangas in the river, because one Rameshwar Bhatta told him, you're a Shudra, you're not supposed to chant, write all these abhangas and preach. Tukaram Maharaj left all these abhangas in the river, Indrani Nadi. After 13 days, these abhangas come floating. And Tukaram, his fame becomes so much, it reaches the ears of Shivaji Maharaj. So Shivaji Maharaj, in honor of Tukaram, he sends gold and horse and so many things. And Tukaram Maharaj immediately prays to Lord Pandurang. He says, my dear Lord, why are you testing me? For me, this gold is like stones. I don't care for it. And Tukaram Maharaj doesn't touch it at all. So this is the point, that for a great personality like this, a piece of gold and stone is same. He is equal to what is desirable, undesirable. Whether someone honors him, dishonors him, praises him, he is equal. He treats friends, enemies equally. So these are the behaviors and symptoms of one who is transcendental. Transcendental means one who is a pure devotee of Krishna. So for all of us, this is where we have to reach. We may not be on this level. This is where we have to reach. So Prabhupada explains here, a devotee of Krishna, a pure devotee, for himself he doesn't do anything. But for the sake of Krishna, he is ready to do anything. And now in text 26, which is the second last verse of this chapter, Lord Krishna is answering the third question. What is the third question? How to transcend. The first two questions which Lord Krishna answered in this set of verses was, what are the symptoms and behavior of one who is a pure devotee? Now, if you and me want to actually go out of these three modes, what we are supposed to do? This is the verse. For this chapter, text 26 is the key verse, is the most important verse. You all can repeat after me. Mam cha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samitityayitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So Lord Krishna is very clear. If someone wants to transcend sagunan samitityayitan, that means if someone wants to transcend the three modes, what one should do? Mamcha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. One should perform bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga to whom? To Krishna. Mamcha. But how? Avyabhicharena. Avyabhicharena means without fail or pure devotional service. Unmotivated, unconditional, pure devotional service is what Lord Krishna is recommending here. So we have been seeing in practically every chapter, the conclusion of every chapter turns out to be pure devotional service only. You name the chapter, the conclusion is, even in the 13th chapter, the previous chapter that we saw, Lord Krishna explains here that someone who takes to pure devotional service can understand this knowledge of Kshetra, Kshetragya, right? So the conclusive verse practically of every chapter, Lord Krishna sums up with pure devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada is not wrong when Prabhupada stresses devotional service. Many people feel that Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is, one-sided. Prabhupada is focusing too much on bhakti. This is what Lord Krishna is doing here. Lord Krishna is not saying here, Jnana Yogena Sevate, Karma Yogena Sevate. Lord Krishna is very clear, Bhakti Yogena Sevate. Mamcho yo vebhicharena. One who does devotional service to me, pure devotional service, such a person can transcend. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Brahma Bhuyaya means one comes to the level of Brahman, one comes to the spiritual level. So Prabhupada explains here, this is answer to Arjuna's third question, how one can transcend. So how one can transcend? One should perform Krishna consciousness, service to Krishna with unfailing devotion, unfailing determination. At given any situation, one has to take up to bhakti seriously. And Prabhupada quotes that same verse of 7th chapter, Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mamevaya Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. Overcoming Maya is very difficult, but if you surrender to Krishna by the process of bhakti, then it is possible. The last verse, text 27. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amrityasva vyasasya cha shashvatascha dharmam asya sukas eikanti kalasya cha. So Lord Krishna is saying here, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. I am the basis of impersonal Brahman. And then Lord Krishna says, this impersonal Brahman is immortal, imperishable, and it is the constitutional position of unlimited happiness. That means, if someone wants to attain unlimited happiness, one has to get connected with Brahman, one has to get connected with Parabrahma Krishna. So Prabhupada explains in the purport, there are 3 levels of understanding God. Vadanti tat tattvavidas, tattvam yajnayam advayam, brahmeti paramatmeti, bhagavan iti shabdati. The primary understanding is Brahman level. Second understanding is Paramatma level. And the highest understanding is Bhagavan. So therefore Lord Krishna is saying here, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. This Brahma Jyoti is situated on me. That means when one worships Krishna, actually one attains true kind of liberation. And Prabhupada explains in the purport, even someone goes to Brahman, becomes liberated, goes to Brahman, there is still a risk of falling down. Because in Brahman, the platform of Brahman, one is eternal, one experiences knowledge, but the kind of rasovayasa means the kind of relationship one can have with Krishna is not there. There is no personal understanding of God. So therefore there is a good chance to fall down because everyone wants to socialize, everyone wants to have a relationship. But when one goes to the spiritual world, one can have a beautiful relationship with Krishna in one of the rasas. Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, like that. And Prabhupada explains here. And the way we can go back to that spiritual world, that Sanatan world, to experience that Sanatan relationship with Krishna, the process is devotional service. And then Prabhupada explains here, the method of devotional service, I am reading towards the end, the last paragraph. The process of devotional service to the Lord is very simple. It's very simple. To go back to the spiritual world, to transcend the 3 modes is very simple. What we should do? One should engage in the service of the Lord, eat remnants offered to Krishna, eat only prasad. Then visit places which are pastime places of the Lord. One should smell flowers offered to the Lord. One should read and hear pastimes of Krishna. One should associate with devotees. One should chant Hare Krishna. One should observe fasting whenever possible, appearance, disappearance days. That's it. So Prabhupada is saying, if we follow this simple process, one can go back to the spiritual world. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. One can experience Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Anyone else, any questions, any comments? Yes,
In Bhagavad Gita, there are totally 18 chapters.
correct.
For lack of time, suppose we want to read one particular chapter more and more. Is there one particular chapter which is most important?
Uh, Very difficult to say that. But yeah, I mean, the ninth chapter is nice. So you have to see where Lord Krishna has used the word the most confidential knowledge. The ninth chapter, the 12th chapter, the 18th chapter. These are beautiful chapters. Yeah. But every chapter is good. So this is like honey, na? Bhagavad Gita is like honey. You pick honey, any chapter, it's all nectar only. You choose this way, that way, or you have a cake. You eat this side, that side, really doesn't matter. You have to just start eating any side. Once you get the taste, start eating all the other. You start reading the other chapters also. Yes.
It's transcendence of three mode of existence, like Sattvic, Tamas, and Rajas. So one can come from the Tamas to Sattvic directly by continuing Rajas, because Rajas is gifted from the last birth.
What is that?
Rajas is gifted from the last birth. Previous birth, because of the previous birth you are born now. So there was some Rajas balance in the previous birth, that's why you are born now. Tamas is coming in this birth. So main important thing is Tamas.
And my suggestion to you is you should read this chapter properly. You should read this chapter properly. Please read the purpose properly. Then you will understand what is coming from previous birth, what is this birth. Read the chapter properly. So therefore, to understand these concepts, one has to go through the books properly. You read line by line nicely, understand, then you will understand. You have to spend time with the book. Okay? Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. So next week we will do the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita.
संकीर्तन आपको लिखित के लिए प्ले करेंगे।